After the release of the first 4 episodes of Stranger Things Season 5, a bunch of different theories popped up online about how the legendary series might end. Out of all of them, I picked one that I think is the most interesting, but a lot of fans see it as the most absurd. As you can guess from the title of the video, this theory is based on the idea that Vecna, aka Henry Creel, could be Will Byers' real father. At first glance, it sounds pretty crazy, but if you dig a little deeper into the question, the theory doesn't seem so absurd. Let's break it down step by step. The most important detail that led to this theory is Henry's memory from 1959 when he attended the same school as Joyce. We learn this information from the musical poster that Max picks up while in Vecna's memories. The poster shows the names of Joyce, Jim Hopper, Karen and Ted Wheeler, Patty Newby, who is presumably Bob Newby's sister, Alan Manson, Eddie's father, and most importantly, Henry Creel himself. However, it must be acknowledged that this information does not provide any basis for assuming that Joyce and Henry could have had any romantic connection, let alone suggesting that Henry could be Will's father. Therefore, let us analyze earlier episodes of the series to attempt to find arguments in favor of this theory. Let's start with the very first episode, with Will Byers' disappearance on November 6, 1983. Note how the date of the musical and the date of Will's disappearance coincide, with exactly 24 years separating these events. Thanks to the moment of unlocking the door lock in the Byers house with telekinesis, which the Demogorgon does not possess, and thanks to the first episode of Season 5, we can see that Will was not chosen impulsively by the Demogorgon, but purposefully by Vecna himself. To this day, no one can explain why Will was chosen by him, which leads us to believe that Henry has some kind of unexplained bond with Will. Right after Will's disappearance, his father Lonnie Byers did not show the slightest concern for his son.
I told you the same thing as I told those cops. He's not here, he never has been. The boy never was very good at taking care of himself.
Guess you forgot what he looks like.
Only after a body believed to be Will's was found in a quarry did he arrive in Hawkins, seemingly to provide moral support to Joyce and to attend Will's funeral. But as it later turned out, he did not care at all about his son's death. The real reason for his visit was to sue the company that owned the quarry and receive the financial compensation, ostensibly to pay off his own debts. Joyce also makes a very important mention that he never cared about his son.
We're here for the money! Admit! You weren't here because of Will. You never cared about him. You never did.
What could be the reasons for this? Could it be that Lonnie wasn't Will's biological father at all? The day after Will's disappearance, Joyce visits Hopper at the station, where he says something really interesting that takes on a whole new meaning after watching Season 5.
99 out of 100 times kid goes missing, the kid is with a parent or a relative.
And at that moment, as we all know, Will was with Vecna. It would be quite absurd to think that the Duffer brothers left a reference to Vecna possibly being Will's father before they even introduced Vecna himself in the series, but it's still a rather interesting and amusing detail that I wanted to point out. Let's go back to Season 5 and look at a few moments from there. Joyce's connection with Henry can be seen in the scene when the Demogorgon burst into the barn to take Derek with him. But for some unknown reason, the Demogorgon, in an uncharacteristic manner, simply watched Joyce and did not attack her like the rest of his victims. As we have already figured out, Vecna can control the minds of Demogorgons, and that moment was no exception. Henry simply saw Joyce's familiar face and did not want to hurt her, as they were apparently very close in the past. The exact same situation repeats in the scene when Vecna himself, meeting Joyce face to face, does not kill her as he did with the other soldiers but simply throws her aside. His refusal to harm Joyce may hint at their warm relationship in high school. Now let's return to Will and Vecna's relationship. Throughout all 5 seasons, Henry had many opportunities to kill Will, but for some reason he always let him live, as if he meant something more to him than just a random child. Furthermore, Vecna is the only one who calls him by his full name, William, which may vaguely resemble the relationship between a father and son.
Can you see them, William?
In addition to this, we can see similarities between the characters of Will and Henry in his childhood.
But Henry, my boy, he was a sensitive child.
He's a sensitive kid.
I didn't fit in with the other children.
Yes, they're mean. They make fun of him. They call him names.
Something was wrong with me.
Stop treating me like that. Like there's something wrong with me.
Note how Will gained his powers in Season 5 without undergoing training in the lab like Eleven, or Henry, which may hint that his powers were awakened by the genes of his real father, Henry Creel, who possessed the same abilities. The similarity is evident when Will first uses his powers. The same method of killing, the same hand gestures, and the same eyes as Vecna. All these arguments sound quite reasonable, and the theory seems less absurd than it did at first, right? Of course not. Let's go back to the beginning of the video and the moment with the musical poster. Let's take a closer look at the date of the musical. November 6th, 1959. The same year, Henry killed his mother and sister and was taken by Dr. Brenner to Hawkins' lab, where he was locked up until 1983. According to several sources, Henry's date of birth is 1947, which means that when he was attending the same school as Joyce, he was only 12 years old, which already destroys the theory that the two could have had any kind of romantic relationship. Also, many people are unaware of the canonical theatrical prequel, Stranger Things' First Shadow, in which Henry is portrayed as being slightly older than 12, but all events still take place before 1959. This play tells us about Henry's romance with Patty Newby, and there are no hints of a close relationship with Joyce. Even if we try to imagine a scenario in which the Duffer brothers mistakenly portrayed Henry as too young in Season 4, his romance with Joyce and the subsequent birth of Will would be absurd for several reasons. We know for a fact that Henry was locked up in the lab from 1959 to 1983, so his last contact with Joyce could have happened in 1959, which means that even if Will was born in 1960, he would have been 23 years old at the time of the first season and would have been older than his older brother Jonathan, which is nonsense. But what about the Demogorgon that didn't attack Joyce in the barn? This can be explained by the fact that Will was already able to influence the Demogorgon's actions at that time, and it is he who prevented it from attacking his mother. As for the moment when Vecna himself did not kill Joyce, but simply pushed her aside, I believe that Henry truly remembered Joyce and had a friendly relationship with her at the time, so he saw no point in killing his former friend. To sum up and answer the question, could Vecna be Will Byers' real father? I can say with 99% certainty that no, he is not. There are indeed many hints of this in the series, and at first glance it may seem that this theory has a right to exist, but in reality, if you look at the facts and not at random coincidences, its nonsense becomes clear.
Oh my god, William, like he said the full name. Okay.
But there is still that 1% that should not be completely ruled out. If Henry and Joyce really did have feelings for each other in high school, then it is possible to imagine a scenario in which the theory holds true. For example, we can assume that Henry and Joyce somehow managed to meet during the 1970s. As we learned in episode 7 of season 4, Dr. Brenner implanted a tracker in Henry's neck to monitor him in case he tried to escape.
I'm not going with you, 11. I meant what I said when I called this place a prison. Here. Can you feel it? Your papa calls it soteria. It weakens me, attracts me.
Which suggests that he may have already escaped in the past. Based on this, we can imagine a situation in which Henry, having escaped from the laboratory around 1970, spent some time with Joyce in freedom until he was found and returned to the laboratory. But in my opinion, this would be a far-fetched story that would spoil the series more than surprise the audience. Write in the comments what you think about this theory and about Season 5 in general. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.